Hi, how's it going, everybody? Welcome to another episode of Ask Jonathan. We're going to jump right into the question for this week. Are there any particular... Actually, let me back that up. I just skipped a little bit. My question is, what motivates you to keep drawing consistently? Are there any particular exercises or rituals you have found useful to keep you moving forward with energy? I know you're a busy guy working a day job, so what pushes you and gets you in the mood when you're tired after having a long day? And I think maybe other busy students, workers could relate. Thanks for your vids. Awesome. This is by, I should start reading the names here so I don't forget you guys. Kazook2122. So thanks for the question. Real quick, I know there's a lot of things you can do out there. A lot of people, they'll listen to like a guy named Tony Robbins. He's like a motivational speaker, you know, that kind of guy. I'm a big fan of his work. When I was living up near Toronto, and I was doing freelance for a little bit, I tried to do some of the things he was teaching, and it helped. It actually did help. But to give you some Cliff Notes version, there's some things you can do that would probably help you get in that mindset of actually creating work, especially if you're coming home from work. For me, I found over the years anyway that I work best if I can draw before going to work. Usually, the job that I work at, it's like a closing shift. So it could be something like 1 p.m. to 9:30 p.m. Or like 5 to 9, something like that. Now, after an 8-hour shift, when I come home to work, I'm not very good at working at night. I know a lot of artists out there, that's when they shine, and I think that's because most of you guys and girls out there, you probably go to school or work during the day. But if you're like me and it's flipped, just find that moment, you know, or that time where you know you can hammer out, not just hammer the work out, but you enjoy doing it. There's nothing like trying to hit a deadline and you just hate the entire process. That sucks, you know. It's your work's going to look like it, and you're not going to want to do it. And after a while, you're going to get burnt out. And to talk about burnout really quickly, I don't think there's a way to get around it. I've heard some really good analogies for it, where it's like once you're a professional, which could be today, you could become that professional just by changing the way you think of things a little bit. And it's not going to happen overnight, but just trying to think of it in a way where it's, you know, this is your job. You know, let's say here's a really good analogy. Let's say you just became a parent, okay, and you got a baby. Now that baby's, you know, crying in the background, and you've got deadlines to hit. It's not like you could just, you know, not feed the baby just to draw, right? So think of it like that. Even though this work has to get done, maybe that's a really bad analogy. Now that I'm thinking about it, I think I worded it terribly wrong. The mindset is no matter what, the work has to get done, so you can't not do it. It's just going to snowball into this thing where it becomes this big burden on your back that you don't want to even start the project. You don't even want to get, you know, take that first step of just literally sitting down at the art table, and you're thinking way too much about, okay, you got to draw, you got to ink it, you got to render it, scan it, email it, or maybe you put it in Photoshop, get it ready for coloring if you're doing all the work and all that stuff. Like, that's a lot of things to, you know, think about. Just try to think it up. Like, what works for me is think about it literally, what's the first thing you need to do? Is it sit down in front of the computer, load up Photoshop or Magna Studio and get into it? Or is it sitting down at the art desk getting that? Is it opening up Word, like a word processing thing, and just start writing your scripts? Is it replying to emails? What is it? And I'm sure most of you will find that as long as you can start, you'll noticeably be there longer. And as long as you start chipping away, eventually that, you know, that big beast that's on your back, they'll disappear. But to get to your question, but like, where do you find that energy, and, you know, like, how do you keep it going? Like, what motivates you? I probably should have had it here for the video, but one of the books I'm doing, the Standard, I just got a bunch of issue 1 sent to me for New York, which is actually happening at the time of this video. Should be this weekend coming up, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, the 11th through the 14th. If you guys are in New York, come say hi. But it's a bunch of sketch covers, and I get to do some sketches on the back for people that are interested in the book. And what's really cool is you actually, like, I get to open it and read it, and I've already read it before, but you get to see all the hard work that you and the rest of your team, if you have a team, are doing, and you can get to see it in front of you, you know. And it's a great liberating thing, and it's motivational as well, because I want more of that. I want more. All these books, I want this all to be mine. You know, I want to be able to, by the time I die, or whatever the hell that is, I want all of these graphic novels and all these manga and all this stuff like that. I want action figures maybe made of like some of my characters and stuff. That's cool stuff, you know. And that'll happen too, just like anything else. As long as you're doing the work, eventually the rewards will come. So you will start to see your work literally in your hands. And for me, that's a huge motivator. The second motivator is feedback. The fact that I'm even doing this and you guys and girls are watching, you know, like, that's cool stuff to me. That makes me want to keep doing this. Yeah, you know, setting it up and doing all that is whatever, but it's knowing that people appreciate what you're doing. I'm getting probably just as much out of this as you guys are getting out of it. And it's this big, you know, it feels like a big, like a group of people that are all interested in the same kind of stuff. And it's motivating to see that happen. So if you can find yourself in like a little circle or group of people that are into that stuff, I think that'll be motivational as well. Trying to think of like routines or something that I've done. Oh, this one's pretty fun. Let's say, I guess this would work whether you work at night or during the day, okay? And I'm talking about your day job. I tried this for probably about 2 weeks, and it did work. It did work for sure. But then I slowly got out of it. And then I'll tell you another thing that I like to do now that I kind of stick with a little bit. But anyway, okay, so the first thing you can do is, let's say you go to work during the day. Once you get home, let's just assume you work a 9 to 5. When you get home at 5, you come home. Now start to think about it as your art, as literally a job. Yeah, it might be a career, a passion that you want, but think about it like a job, okay? Because we all go to work. You might phone in sick every now and then, but I'm assuming your record and attendance record for going to work is probably pretty good. Is it compared to how much art you're getting done? Art's probably, you know, getting lower than the actual time, you know, that you're putting in at work. That outside of a paycheck, you're not getting much out of. So what you do is you come home, maybe you eat. Now, you don't get a chance to relax. What I'm trying to get you to think of is you now have to get ready to go to your second job, okay? Now, this might seem weird, but anyway, so let's say you have to actually have a wardrobe change. I don't know how many of you out there actually go to work and you have some sort of wardrobe you have to wear, whether it's like a smock, literally got to wear a suit and tie. Maybe you have to wear some really lame, I don't know, khaki pants and like some tied up with something, right? Get something like that for your art. So whether that's actually getting slacks and a button-up t-shirt, you might look like crap, but you actually have to tuck it in. I'm not saying get uncomfortable, but get that transition in your mind that you're suiting up for work, okay? Now the next step, and this is probably the one that's a little crazy, is I'm not saying get in your car and drive to work, even though it's at home. Maybe walk around the block. Now, I know some of the people out there might get a little like shy or something because you got to walk outside looking, I'm not saying look stupid, but you know, look, it's all in your head anyway. So go for a walk. And the idea is you're making that transition that you did this to go to work earlier that day, or you did this to go to work tonight at your other job. You're doing the exact same thing, except now you're getting ready for art, okay? Now, so you're all dressed up, go for your walk around the block, come back in at home. Whether you got to leave your shoes off or on, you know, maybe say or put on some slippers or something. Don't get too comfortable, though, is what you don't want to do. And get right to it. Literally, have your computer ready to go or have your art desk ready to go. Sit down and put in, like, I'm not saying put in an 8-hour shift. If you had to pack a lunch, bring that. I know it's weird because you're at home. You can do all that stuff right there, right? Maybe just do like a 4-hour shift. Do a 2-hour shift just to get into it. Get into that mindset. And what you'll slowly find is over time, and like I said, I only did this for 2 weeks, but during the second week, it was much easier. I wasn't really thinking about it, and it was just like, okay, I know I have to come home, I have to do this. And what's really cool is you can start to give yourself like days off, and they actually start to feel like days off, even if it's just 1 day a week, 2 days a week, if you can really hammer out the work or whatever your deadlines are. It actually works. It's actually pretty crazy. And yeah, then the second one that I'm doing now is, this one actually works for me pretty well, is the first thing I do when I wake up is I'm a big coffee person. I like to have coffee. If you don't like coffee, you drink whatever, doesn't matter. I won't even turn my computer on just yet. I'll get my coffee started, come back here into the art room, turn the computer on. I'm not looking at nothing. I'm not looking at emails or anything. I get my art desk, turn the light on, and I'll grab like a comic or I'll grab some life drawing book. And I have like garbage pieces of paper already stacked up there. All I do is I sit down, waiting for my coffee to get started, and then I just start sketching. Okay? Now this is kind of talking about what we did in the last video, which I should say really quickly. I noticed there's like 6 thumbs up. You guys want to see my old sketchbook, so I'll do that in the next video. I'll show you guys some of that stuff. But yeah, you start doing your sketching, and what happens is you start to notice that, for me anyway, the first thing I'm doing is drawing. I'm more inclined to keep drawing. Okay, so eventually what's going to happen is my computer's going to be booted up. It's probably going to be about, I wouldn't go more than 30 minutes. You know, I'm still waking up. Coffee's probably good to go by now. And the sketching has already happened. I'm already telling myself to draw. So the first thing I do is I'll go on the computer, I'll load up Photoshop, Manga Studio, whatever it is, see what I have to do for the day, and get to work. And like I said, I work at night mostly. Okay, I'd say 90% of my shifts are night, afternoon. Okay, so the big trick I'm trying to get myself locked into, and it's tough, you know, is being disciplined to the point where it's like, if I'm done at 9:30, my bedtime's 11, and that means I can get up by 7 a.m. And I know that's crazy, maybe even 6 a.m. if you're pretty crazy, and then work from 7 till like 11. You know, and it's not a lot of time, but it's something, you know. And I think the big difference is finding something like what I just brought up that works for you, because I can't, if you guys want to try doing what I'm doing, by all means try it. I've done that with other people, and I've noticed certain things did stick. So yeah, give it a shot, see what happens, and let me just double back over the question just to make sure. What motivates me to keep drawing consistently? I talked about that. Another thing too is, if you want to do this as a career, you're gonna have to draw. And I think I heard a guy named Mark Silvestri. If you guys don't know who he is, he did like the Darkness for Top Cow. All that stuff. From what I remember, he said something, you know, to the lines of actually working in comics or drawing for your career is probably about 90% work, 95% work, 5 to 10% actually fun. You know, when you just sit down and you sketch for fun, that's, you know, comic books and stuff. Yeah, it's really cool that I'm able to do that and people are willing to pay me and stuff, but it's not fun. It's work. It literally is. Like when somebody sends you a page where it's like, okay, we have to have all these superheroes fighting in New York City, a double-page splash of like 2 pages, and you need to draw New York. To me, that's not fun, you know. But if it was my own project, there is some more fun into it. But like, I like coming up with the ideas and stuff and sketching, because you can get it all out pretty quick. But when it comes time to actually sitting down to actually drawing a full-blown page, it's a lot of work, you know. And kind of going back to what I started this with, sitting down and just starting, at least you're hacking away, you're getting there. It will take hours to get this stuff done, but as long as you're proactive, nothing will ever like be negative to it, because you're actually getting to where you want to go, and you will get used to routine. Okay, and let's see if there's anything else. I talked about that, and the only other very last thing I'll touch on is the mood. I know some people, what they like to do at work is think about what they're going to do at work, or when they get off of work, when they come home to draw. That helps. I did forget one thing. When you did go for your walk around the block, even actually, you know, you don't even have to get dressed up so much. Like if you want to just go out there and get some fresh air and go for a walk around the block, that helps big time, right? Get the sun, get that energy into you, because you're going to be sitting down for like God knows how many times, how long. But when you're going for your walk, don't just necessarily take it in, you know, like what you're walking around, ooh, nice car and stuff. But try to think about, as soon as you get back home, what's the first thing you're going to do? Sit down, grab that paper. What's the first project I have to do today? I have to do some character designs for a new comic book. Okay, so get your reference. As soon as you get in, get your reference. Sit down and then hammer it out. What are you going to do after that? Okay, I'm going to try to get at least one really nice drawing with the design that I like. Then I'm going to scan it, send it to a client. Repeat that over and over. Find ways where, like, okay, well, if I need that reference, should I get the sketching done first? Should I get the paper? You know, just trying to think about all the curveballs that you might get rid of them, so that when you get home, it's kind of like, you know, when you go to work, you know what your job is. Or if you don't, you go there and somebody tells you what you're going to be doing that day. Do that to yourself, because if you think about it, think about you right now at work. Whether you slack or not, or if you're really good at work, you're doing something that, you know, it's like a routine, you know, like you can go in there, you can get it done, you can leave. Whether it's, again, slacking, even if you slack at work, you've gotten into a routine where you know how to slack. You know how much you can slack before you get in trouble, right? But you're still there getting paid. So treat that, bring that back home with you. And, you know, I'm not saying slack to yourself. You guys know what I'm saying. I keep trying to clarify, and I know you guys are on top of what I'm talking about. So give it a try. I would say give it a solid, you know, week, 2 weeks if you can. See what happens. If you're falling out of little places, try something new. Maybe go back to something. But the way I find too is it's kind of like that, you know, magic trick where you got those three, what's it called, those 3 cups with the ball, and you're always moving it around and you're trying to find it. you're always going to be chasing it. I don't know how much of it you're actually going to grab and hold on it for the rest of your life. You're always going to be going, oh man, how come I'm slacking more? How come, you know, I was really good for like a month and then I slacked for like 2 weeks and now I can't get back into the routine. That's going to happen. Inevitable. It's going to happen, okay? Just try to get some things in place that are kind of fail-safes so that even though you might not be working at 100% efficiency, some of the things you're doing you can fall back on, such as for me, getting into that routine of trying to wake up early. You know, set your alarm clock a little extra. Set an alarm clock. Actually, try waking up to an alarm clock. That'll help too. But sitting down and drawing right away. For me, that always gets me at least an hour or two of quality drawing time. After that, that's where it starts to waver, and that's when the battle for me starts to fight and stuff. But anyway, I've been rambling on way too long for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. All the comments have been wonderful. Again, like I said, the next video I will do, probably, I'm not sure if we'll put it out later in this week because, like I said, I will be going to the convention. What I might do is wait till I come back to talk about the experiences that I had at the New York Comic Con. But the next actual video reply to you guys will be showing you some of my old sketchbooks all the way back from, I think, 2006. So that should be pretty wild to look at. But yeah, please leave your comments for future questions in here. I appreciate all the support, you guys. Thank you so much. Keep watching. Keep reading comics, keep making comics, and we'll talk to you next time. See you later. Bye.